Jason's going to spin it and spin Wortley with him.
And oh no! Oh, trouble for Powell! He spins it! The crash, the big one! And here comes 2 for 1.
To the inside, they're 3 by 3. That looks for turn 3. Oh no, he moved up! Oh no! And here comes Long for the crossover, gonna move behind, can't do it!
Checkered flag! Tyler Mallon wins at Atlanta!
The Online Racing Network proudly presents NACOS. We're getting set to go here. It is the second and final week of preseason Thunder, and we're glad to have you along here for the broadcast. I would put up the commentator bar at the bottom of the screen, but I just realized that there's a name on there that I think we're going to save until next week because he's not here yet. He's taken some notes. He'll be a new part of our broadcast next week, and we're glad to have him along for the ride. We'll keep him a secret, though. You'll see him next week from this very same racetrack. We're here at Wyatt Group Raceway for the final preseason Thunder event. This will also be the first race for the NACOS second season coming up next week. 8 o'clock Eastern Time, we will be live, ready to go, bringing you flag-to-flag coverage of that event. For us, commentator-wise, Jacob Pitts, Trace Ryder here with you for the call of this. I believe it's 45 laps here. So take us through here. We've got, I believe, 6 drivers here for this testing session. Not a lot of people. Hopefully we'll see a lot more come out next week. But what do you think we'll see here in this, I believe, 45-lap race?
All right. Well, you see, with this track here, you've got a 3/8 mile. Banking's not very good. It's a very flat track. Very difficult to drive on flat tracks. Very loose. So far in qualifying, Pantalica will sit on top of the board with a 14.45. Cale Yarborough, the Cale Yarborough. That is not somebody who screwed their name up.
Yeah.
The Cale Yarborough. With a 14.59, will sit outside of him. Then it is Adrian Gonzalez and drive through in 4th place. And Sam Slustovsky in 5th place. And Hunter B did not set a qualifying time. He's going to sit outside in 6th place. This is a experimental race. People trying to get the feel of it. Some of the complaints from the drivers is that it's pretty slick. So I look to see people wagging tails and losing their marbles.
Yeah. So you can now see on the screen the brand new ticker that we have for this season. We made an adjustment to the ticker that we used last season and used that last week. And now thanks to MDK or Jeff Krause, he is made a nice little ticker for us, and with help from drive-through as well to get it to work. Here's the command.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
And now it's time to get to work. We already went through the starting lineup of the 6 drivers on the racetrack. Field is in turn 2. Now on the back stretch as we get set to go for this final preseason Thunder event. 45 laps at this basically third of a mile racetrack, a little bit bigger than a third of a mile. Pace cars in.
Here we go.
Green flag. We're underway.
Pan gets a great jump there on the bottom. The bottom is going to be where it's at throughout this entire race. Ben is actually who Cale Yarborough is. That outside is going to be tough to fight on.
Here comes Alexander Gonzalez. Underneath, that's for second. Gets a little loose. Almost gets into Easterday.
Side by side. Let me tell you something about this Pantalica kid. He has really, really impressed me through his preseason. I really look forward to him to being a surprise contender throughout the season.
I think he's definitely going to have a chance if drivers like Cosman and Davey don't make a start every single week. Easterday able to take back second spot. Now let's drive through in the 27 up on the outside.
The outside's really hard to make work at any one of these tracks. With the game that we use, the outside has never really been a great line. Can be used at times, but usually in the longer runs when you're on newer tires and you're trying to pass somebody on older tires. But I don't know about making the outside work here.
Now, some of the schemes that you see on the racetrack are the schemes that they will be using throughout the season, including the 46 of Pantalica, the 36 that we're looking at right now with Alexander Gonzalez, and the 47 of Hunter B. The other cars on track, the 27 drive-through, he will be running a different scheme next week. The black car that is Ben Easterday, he'll be running a different scheme next week. And Sam Slusarski back here in the back, he's having some issue with his cars. He has them painted. He uploaded them. However, we can't see them. He'll fix that, and he'll be back ready to roll next week.
And Pantalica is pulling away from the field here. Look at him go. And drive through underneath of Adrian Gonzalez for third place there. Adrian got way loose heading into turn 1.
And Hunter B is going to follow right with him, now down into turn 3. And he's going to give him the spot. So Gonzalez was in second. Now he's all the way back to 5th spot.
Looking like Gonzalez might have burned off all of his equipment there.
Well, maybe. He did not enjoy this racetrack in practice at all. So it's possible that he may have been pushing too hard to try and stay up there.
Now we're going to see if Easter Day can chase down Pantalica. It looks like Drive-Thru is chasing down Easter Day, actually, a little bit here. They're back single file and not racing each other. It looks like they're starting to close in on Pan.
Yeah, looking at the gaps, right now it's about a second between Pan and Easter Day, and then 2 seconds back between Pan and Drive-Thru. However, now that I say that, live timing and scoring refreshed, and it's getting a little closer. Drive-Thru gained about 2/10 on Pan that last time by. And he's consistently doing that, so that 27 is moving and grooving right now.
Yeah, well, one of these things about these flat tracks is it will burn up your tires really, really quick because you're so much lateral movement on those tires rips the grip right off of them. And if you don't manage that tire wear, you can jump out to a huge lead early on, but then you'll wind up losing it as the race goes on.
More than 10 laps complete here at Wyatt Group Raceway. Pantalica out in front. Kel Yarborough / Ben Easterday and Drive-Thru are trying to close in on him. It's a 3-car breakaway at the front.
And they are really nobody here to contest that at all.
Yeah.
Hunter just kind of minded his own business there in 4th place, but he's not really gaining on him, and Slusarski really struggling back there. But they really straightened out. You know, I look forward to, if this is any indication of how the race is going to go during this season, when we have more cars out there, I feel like as the races go on, we're going to see a lot of jockeying for position, especially towards the middle of the pack.
And I'm hoping that we see a lot bigger turnout for this race next week.
Well, you know how it is. When things aren't mandatory, nobody shows up.
Yeah. We will be live next week starting at 7:55 Eastern Time. The closing minutes of practice take you through qualifying and then to the race. And it's going to be, I think, a very fun time and a very good experience for all of us here.
I look forward to this evening. I really do.
Yeah.
I thought that I was going to get back behind the wheel, but those couple practice sessions told me, maybe not. I will be making an appearance for the race that I sponsor in the middle of the year, but that's, that's going to be standard, I think.
We'll see you on track at Wilmot about halfway through the season.
The only race with a trophy on the line, and there will be more information on that as we get closer to the race, obviously.
And as I mentioned
before, now, a couple weeks out.
I'm sorry?
So I don't want to spoil anything with a couple weeks out.
And as I mentioned earlier, we do have at least one broadcaster that I'm aware of as Met kind of pulls off and parks it down on the apron to get out of the way of the leaders. We do have at least one broadcaster pretty much waiting in the wings who's watching our coverage right now and taking some mental notes, seeing how he'll fit in to our broadcast, as he will be joining us next week and hopefully will be here through the rest of the season. There may also be another announcer or two popping in as time goes on. We may even have enough people to throw somebody down onto pit road trouble. Drive-Thru's around front straightaway, right in front of the leaders.
What happened there?
Not sure if we will get a caution.
I don't think
we will not. We stay green. I wasn't sure only because he was sideways right in the middle of the racetrack.
Oh, he started dropping it out of 2 and never really recovered. Started falling back real hard. Really interesting.
Let's take a look here. He had Mech come out in front of him. I tell you what, I think Drive-Thru just started losing time to Easter Day. He caught the apron a couple laps prior. That was on lap 17 that he caught the apron coming off of 2.
I don't want to interrupt you just yet, but Easter Day has caught Pantalica and is now riding his bumper heading out of turn 2.
And 2 laps later, 3 laps later, Drive-Thru was just loose and looped it around. Meanwhile, here's the battle for the lead. If I can find him, here it is. Easter Day right on the bumper of Pantalica. We're past halfway.
Ooh, Pan overdrove that turn.
He overdrove it big time.
Couldn't tell if Easterday got a little bit of that quarter panel, but it shook him up just enough as they're side by side.
I don't think he ever got to him, but it was mighty close. New leader, Ben Yarborough Easterday out in front.
Now, with a track like this, you can't just run back in and attack there. You have to set yourself up for success. Racing short tracks like this, you got to give yourself a couple laps to dial back in, and hopefully Pan can make another shot at Ben here.
Well, Pan kept it close there in the center of the corner. However, on exit, Easterday was just able to pull away, but Pan's relatively maintaining that gap. It's about half a second between these two up at the top, inside 20 laps to go.
Ooh, drives it in deep there. I don't know if that was a good call.
Easterday got the better launch off.
One thing about stock cars, it's all about momentum. If you keep your car rolling at a consistently fast pace, that's when you set your faster lap times. That's when you keep up. That's when you start passing people. And I think
Pan just brushed the wall there coming off 4.
I think Ben is now starting to pull away.
Yeah, his gap at least a second. As he's catching some lap traffic, it's Slusarski who pulls off to the bottom and lets him by. Next car is pretty far out in front of him. That's Alexander Gonzalez. So out of the 6 cars on the racetrack, 4 on the lead lap. Then there's Drive-Thru in 5th, 1 lap down. And Slusarski in 6th, 2 laps down. And Easterday is trailblazing right now ahead of Pantalica. Gone.
Yeah. I think he, if he can set himself up for a nice gap here, I don't think tire wear is going to be a factor much for him. 45 laps on a flat track with 1 set of tires is going to be very loose by the end of this.
Oh, yeah. And be prepared for a lot more flat tracks because NACOS does a lot of short track racing. A lot of short tracks, pretty flat.
NACOS lives on the short tracks.
Oh, yeah.
All the bumping, all the grinding, all the consistently holding the wheel to the left. Those are my favorite short
It'll get
tracks.
interesting when we get to some tracks that really caused some chaos last season. Delaware, where we had 7 cautions.
Berlin,
Which had the record-breaking 13 cautions.
And the famous Berlin choke.
Well, but we also had the famous 2-coin choke, so there were a couple of jokes last season. 10 laps to go.
Ben seems to have this one pretty well in hand now.
Yeah, as long as he doesn't bin it, he's probably going to be able to win it. Your Season 1 champion, Ben Easterday, who won the championship by just 2 points over Drive-Thru. It really should have been more. However, he caught the wall hard at Slinger, killed the car. Drive-Thru went on to win that race. However, a couple mistakes made by Drive-Thru throughout the season cost him some points that really would have given him the championship otherwise.
Yeah, the DuCoin one really, I think is the one that cost him.
Yeah, with Drive-Thru getting punted at Trois Rivières. Way back when, Huang giving him the punt on the last lap. Easterday won that race. Drive-Thru was sitting in 3rd, and I believe he finished 5th or 6th. And then, where's another? Well, of course, DuCoin, where he was leading, led the most laps, then came off pit road unsafely, came up onto the racetrack before he got to the cone on the apron of turn 2. That was a penalty. That cost him the race. And if he would have won, he would have been the champion.
Yeah, that was the real, and the thing about that race that was really heartbreaking to him is Drive-Thru loves DuCoin, loves the track, always does well there. Was pretty much a shoo-in to win the race, and then a mental mistake cost him it, and that's what really hurts is when it's not even when it's your own. You can't blame something else. That is your own. That's when it hurts the most. At a track you'd love the most, and that's why I think he's gonna be back for vengeance when we go back there this year.
Yeah. And we'll see that race in August. 3 laps to go as Easterday just put Gonzalez a lap down.
He is skating to the finish at this point.
So right here in this race, we have the top 2 that finished in points a year ago. And then 4 newcomers. Pantalica is a newcomer. Hunter B is a newcomer. Alexander Gonzalez is a newcomer. Sam Slusarski is a newcomer. And with Ben out in front as they take the white flag. Easterday being out in front. Drive-Thru back in 5th. I think Drive-Thru is going to have some company to try and win the championship as Easterday wins the final broadcasted NACOS pre-season Thunder event. There'll be 2 more that happen later on tonight, but we will not be here with you on the call.
much as we love you, we will not be here.
Yeah. We'll be back next week for the real deal, though. Don't.
So hit that follow button if you are so inclined. Perhaps even subscribe for all of the greatest online racing network content that exists in the world. Bring more races, more series to you.
So Easterday does his burnouts right here in Turn 1. We'd like to remind you once again that next week we will be here at Wyatt Group Raceway yet again. That's Tuesday, May 19th, a week from tonight. We will be live at 7:55 p.m. Eastern here from this racetrack. Hopefully we have a full roster of drivers here with you, and hopefully we have a jam-packed booth as well for it. That race will be sponsored by what you saw in the corner on the ticker, which was, I believe, Trap Gaming. Let me pull this up. The Trap Gaming will sponsor the first race of the season. I only got informed of that right before we went on the air, so I couldn't fix the graphic on it. But
I just want to bring Ben up real quick for a real quick preseason interview here.
yeah, sure.
Mr. Easterday, sir, how are you?
I'm sorry, this is Kelly Yarborough you're talking to, mister.
I apologize. I forgot that Ben gave a seat to the one and only Cale Yarborough. Welcome.
That's damn right, son.
Let me ask you everybody's most burning question. 1979. Did you swing as hard as you thought you could?
Nah, I didn't swing as hard as I could. Man, I wish I had some shoot through a window, but all I had was a helmet, so I guess that was another driver. But you know, good to take the win from all these sim kids and doing all the race things, and yeah, good win.
Does it feel good to be back in victory lane?
It feels good.
Thank you, everybody. The one and only Cale Yarborough.
Yeah.
You'll love to see it, everybody.
All right. Well, that
will be here.
That wraps up our coverage here from Wyatt Group Raceway. Again, as you see on the bottom of the screen, we'll see you next week, Tuesday, May 19th, 7:55. We're here for the Trap Gaming, however many laps there are here at Wyatt Group Raceway. For Trace Ryder, I'm Jacob Hitz. Thank you to all of you for being here. Well, as you can see, there's a spoiler on there, and there are some filler things I forgot to fill out, so I'm just going to take that down. But thank you to MDK, who helped make the ticker, drive-through as well, who also helped make a lot of things for it. So, thank you. That's it for us. We'll see you next week. So long.